Today we're going to be talking about two very important cards to the CyberDragon strategies, CyberDragon Eltanin and Overload Fusion, and when do you want to use which one? Videos by YGOSmurf. Be creative. Before we get into the actual debate, let's figure out what these cards are and what they do. So first off, we have Cyber Eltanin, who is a level 10 light machine type monster with an effect that reads, cannot be normal summoned. Must be special summoned from your hand by banishing all light machine type monsters from your side of the field and your graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card's attack and defense becomes the number of monsters banished for its special summon times 500. When this card is special summoned, send all other face-up monsters on the field to the graveyard. Then we have Overload Fusion, which is a normal spell card whose effect reads, banish from your side of the field or your graveyard the fusion material monsters that are listed on a dark machine type fusion monster card, then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck. You might be asking yourself, why is there even a debate at all? Let's run both. But if you run both, you go into the issue that since Cyber Eltanin has to banish all of your light machine type monsters, that you have no more fodder for your Overload Fusion, and if you want to summon a really big Chimera Tech monster with Overload Fusion, you then run out of the fuel for the Cyber Eltanin, and that's where the issue resides. Let's get some pros and cons for Cyber Eltanin and Overload Fusion. The pros for Cyber Eltanin is that it can become a big monster without having to use any extra cards. It's a one-card combo that drops on the field. Secondly, that it doesn't actually destroy monsters, it sends them to the graveyard when it's summoned. The pros for Overload Fusion is 1. Variety. You can either go for a Chimera Tech Overdragon or Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, depending on how many Cyber Dragons you have in your graveyard on the field, and how many Cyber Dragons you're willing to devote for that summon, not to mention other machine type material. Fortunately, that's the only pro. It's just got a huge utility. It brings you to other cards while giving you the option of deciding how much resources you want to devote to it. The cons of Overload Fusion is that it is technically a two-card combo. While you only need to draw one, you have to have another target in the fusion deck to summon it, which means it'll counteract any major XE strategies by not giving you those extra utility through Xyz. The cons for Cyber Eltanin, it's not really controllable how many monsters you will get to banish, since you have to banish all of your light machine type monsters. So if you only have one, you have to banish that. If you have 10, but you only actually really want to banish like 4 or 5, you have to banish all 10, and that's the end of that. It consumes resources very easily. Those are the pros and the cons. Not many cons for either of them, but also not many pros. Cyber Eltanin is probably going to be the more favored if you decide that you want to maximize the utility through Xyz. But if you're looking for a CyberDragon strategy that is just getting Nova and overlaying for infinity, and maybe including just a few extra utilities in the rank 5 department, and you want to increase the versatility of your deck as a whole, you're going to want to run Overload Fusion over Cyber Eltanin, just because it gives you either the big monster that can destroy multiple monsters, or it can give you a medium monster that can destroy multiple monsters, but that can also fuel your engine, as well as get rid of spells and traps. With the question of which one is better, it depends highly on what type of deck and strategy you're going for. Cyber Eltanin has its niche in a deck that you want to maximize the rank 5 utility through the summoning of Cyber Dragons. But if you would rather have a strategy that's more devoted to simply just getting out an Infinity or a Nova with a lot more utility and pretty much even speed, the Overload Fusion is going to be better for you because it is controlled, concise, as well as having the versatility between two monsters, as well as those two monsters being both multiple attackers, one either getting really large and one destroying spells and traps, as well as making your deck even faster. Personally, in my opinion, I would almost always play Overload Fusion over Cyber Eltanin, but that's just because of my playstyle. I prefer mass utility instead of specific utility, if that makes sense. I don't like the fact that Eltanin doesn't give you the option to choose how many you want to banish. However, I do like that it allows the extra deck to be less cloggy. What are your feelings on the Overload Fusion versus Cyber Eltanin? Do you like one over the other? Do you think they both have their specific places? Would you run both? Would you run neither? Is one side decking? Is one main decking? Go ahead and post these things in the comments below. I want to hear them, because I'm interested in what you have to say. Don't forget to like and share this video so your friends know what you're talking about, as well as subscribing to me if you deem me worthy, support me if you wish. Have a wonderful day, guys.